Dream skills. I like my makeup. You know, because as girls, we learn to be afraid of everything and everyone instinctually. Just girl things. And then they were thrown into the pits alongside their parents. What the fuck does this have to do with A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Hello, and welcome to Cheap Thrills and Real Kills. I'm Katie Adkins, or the Tiger Wizard. And on our last video, I got a request for A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm just giving the people what they want. And what they want is a crazy story about a man who is still a little too excited for Christmas on the off season. I don't know who designed this monster and why. Probably Wes Craven. I'm not really sure. I should have looked into that. What the hell? Not my fault, not my problem. Welcome to my Red Bull in the background of my video. I am actually doing this video right now very Nancy Thompson style. I might not have my own coffee maker up here with me, like how Nancy keeps conveniently stashed in her bedroom. But I do have my Red Bull with me, so I'm not sponsored or anything. It is 2:45 a.m. and I am doing this because my makeup looks really good and I don't want to take it off. So we're filming this video so that you guys can see my makeup and I hope you like it. This time around, I got a little buddy, a little friend, a friend from a friend. I felt like there was some empty space over here, so I wanted to fill it. So we got this guy. He's fun. My own history with The Nightmare on Elm Street. Please don't hate me. I didn't see this movie for the first time until literally last Halloween. I am glad that I waited 29 years to watch it because I do feel like younger baby me just would not have appreciated it the way that I do now. I never saw Freddy Krueger and thought him as someone who was scary. Like, he just looked so goofy. It's gotta be the sweater and the hat, dude. And as a kid, I definitely did hear the whole, oh, if you die in your dream, you die in real life. I always thought it was kind of bullshit because my dreams are super weird and vivid. Some of them are kind of near death, and then once I was 10, I actually did have a dream where I died. In the dream, I was killed Batman's parents style, where I was shot by a stranger in an alleyway on a rainy night. Anyways, the next thing I remember, I wake up, I'm in like a small suburban home with a grandmother and a great aunt I've never met before, and I'm basically living in like a retirement community full of old people. And you just live the rest of your afterlife out in some suburban cookie cutter street, I guess, with other retirees.
Thank you for being a friend.
The horrifying part was apparently when you die, you show up in the afterlife in the same position you died in. So I would like go outside and see people hanging from a tree. I've never claimed to be a normal child. So yeah, I waited 29 years to watch A Nightmare on Elm Street. It was the absolute most perfect time for me to have watched it because I coincidentally got to meet Heather Langenkamp 3 months later. I'm living in a simulation. I saw Nightmare on Elm Street on Halloween last year. Fast forward, early January of this year, and I got a last minute invitation to a wedding to some very cool people you might have heard of.
It's Dead Meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast.
I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
And we're married and we like to get scared together.
I'm so excited about this guest. Heather Langenkamp.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Heather Langenkamp officiated their wedding. And I just remember sitting there in the pew being like, oh, I've seen your work. And I didn't really get to talk to her. I don't have a photo with her or anything like that. I wasn't trying to be like a starstruck wedding guest or anything. I was trying to let everyone just be a normal person having a normal time. I did kind of meet her in passing. Oh, hi, like, nice to meet you. And like kind of like walked away. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't be like, oh my God, I saw Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time 3 months ago. I know you filmed this decades ago. So A Nightmare on Elm Street, the movie is all about the kids on Elm Street's nightmares. I don't think you needed my description to know that much about it. So we open up the movie to Tina's nightmare, running frantically from Freddy Krueger in a creepy boiler room. Calling a boiler room creepy sounds redundant. Who's ever gone to a boiler room and been like, oh my God, this place is so cute. Put up some tapestries over there and some rugs. The next day, we are met with true intellectual conversations between scholars on their way to school.
I had a hard on this morning when I woke up, Tina.
And Tina telling her friends how she experienced a terrifying nightmare. Slowly, her friends all realize that they had the same nightmare with the same guy in it. What a crazy coincidence. And of course, the only one who takes Tina seriously is the only other teenage girl in this movie, Nancy. You know, because as girls, we learn to be afraid of everything and everyone instinctually, especially when we have to endure guys who say shit like,
"Hey, up yours with a twirling lawnmower."
Yeah, well, I can save you the trouble. You're nutty as a fruitcake.
Don't look at me like I'm some fucking fruitcake or something.
So the girls decide they want to sleep over, and the boys join in too. Naturally, there's a lot of romance.
Glenn, not now.
Morality sucks.
That crucifix is just gonna keep falling if you keep hanging it on a slanted wall. Just hang it somewhere else, my guy. And of course, Tina dies in the most dramatic way possible because she has to be punished for having sex in a horror movie. And the only thing her boyfriend Rod can bring himself to do is this. I just want to replay on that. Everyone believes Rod killed Tina, which honestly makes the most sense. He was the only one in the room. It's a logical conclusion when you're not immediately jumping to the conclusion of crazy dream man. So everyone believes Rod killed Tina and now he's on the run. Nancy, whose dad is conveniently the lieutenant, uses his daughter's connection to arrest Rod. And overall, the adults in this movie are just generally the worst. I feel like I need to have awards in horror movies for like the most useless parents. Like Nancy's mom cannot stand this woman.
You'll feel better when you get some sleep.
Feel better? You call this feeling better?
So now that Tina is dead, Nancy and the other kids are next on Kruger's shit list. But luckily, Nancy is an insanely paranoid person, so she manages to fight him off multiple times, but doesn't manage to save Rod in time. Turns out you can die from being strangled by a sheet for 0.3 seconds. At this point, everyone thinks Nancy is insane for believing a crazy dream man in a tacky off-season Christmas sweater with knives for fingers and a fedora that screams, age is just a number. Like she is in high school. Freddie, inappropriate is an understatement. Everyone thinks Nancy is insane, even though she managed to pull a hat out of thin air in a hospital in front of people. I'm shocked she didn't get a Vegas show deal like right then and there.
Nancy Thompson.
The magician of the century will blow your mind.
And she does it more than once. Look at all these hat tricks. The girl has a talent. Her boyfriend has the genius idea of just...
Instead of screaming and getting all nuts, just wake up and write it down. Dream skills.
Dream skills. What are dream skills? You like are in a dream and then you tell the dream you're not real and you turn your back to it and you will its power away. Her mom then decides now is the time to reveal she knows who Fred Krueger is. Not only did Nancy's mom know who Krueger was, she actually was the one who just straight murdered him. Freddy Krueger was actually killing kids left and right, so a group of vigilante suburban soon-to-be parents lit the dude on fire and burned his ass. Apparently this is why he looks like he skipped a few steps in his skincare routine. And she even took a trophy. Like, is no one more concerned about Nancy's mom?
He's dead, honey, because mommy killed him.
This is the peak of fashion. This whole video is actually just a tribute to this look that needs to be normalized and brought back. Men, I am looking at you. What the fuck? Where did we go wrong? Why did you stop? Why did y'all stop? So Nancy reveals her big plan.
I grab the guy in my dream. You see me struggling, so you wake me up. We both come out, you whack the fucker, and we got him.
Glenn, get your fucking shoes off of the bed. Take your goddamn shoes off before you get in the bed. He even sleeps with them on? I cannot with this woman. She acts like she was raised by a cult on a weed farm in the 70s.
The nightmare's over.
Okay.
The mask on Nancy's wall alone is enough to give me nightmares. I can't believe she sleeps with that on her wall like every night. So her Chanel lipstick number 5 gets all over her bandages, but after she cleans up the mess, she learns sneaking out might not be as easy as she thinks and tries to call Glenn. His parents are like, well, no. And then the phone rings, and then it rings again. Krueger then confirms that he does have a crush on Nancy.
Who's got a crush on you? Hello, Hugs. It's Dream Phone, the electronic game with the talking phone. Dream Phone, the hot electronic talking phone game.
It's for you.
Get it? Dream Phone. She realizes Glenn is in danger, and her mom just continues to be the worst and the most annoying character in the whole movie. And Glenn gets got. And honestly, I think it's because he slept with his fucking shoes on the bed. Who does that? This is what happens to people when they sleep with shoes on the bed. What is wrong with you? You could literally see the dirt at the bottom of his sneakers, and he's just gonna get on his bed with that? He's gonna walk around in the house like that?
You don't need a stretcher up there. You need a mop.
So Nancy tells her dad she's the only one who can take down the psychopathic dream monster, and then tries to convince her dad, though, to show up in 20 minutes to whack Krueger once she pulls him out of her dream, which isn't a bad plan. She sets up elaborate booby traps and talks to her mom and goes to bed in less than 20 minutes. Setting up those traps would take me like half an hour at least. So Nancy, with the biggest balls, immediately entering my top 5 favorite final girls list. Wow, say that 5 times fast. Top five final, oh my God. Top 5 favorite final girls list. Top 5 final girls list. Top 5 favorite. I can't do it. I literally can't do it. Anyway, so Nancy hunts Krueger down in her dream, hoping to bring him into the corporeal world. She wakes up and, surprise, it worked. Home Alone ensues. What the actual fuck was that? That's art. Perfection. I am actively mad movies are not made like this anymore without it being a joke. Like, you can put that in a movie today, but they're gonna do it because it's funny. Like, these people were like, no, this is scary, and they put this in a movie. Why can't we be like this anymore? Giving me, the people, what we want, what I want. But then Nancy does something no one expected. She managed to do some dream skills. All it took was her boyfriend and her mom to die horrible, crazy, weird bed deaths. Dream skills. And all of a sudden, Freddy is gone. And everyone who died is brought back to life. And nothing ever happened. Was it, dare I say it, all but a dream? Or is she now in a dream within a dream? Only the mannequin getting pulled through this window knows for sure. And that's it. That's the movie. Now, what in this godforsaken movie could possibly be based on a true story? So here's the real story, and here is why people say it is based on a true story. There's gonna be no comedic bits in this explanation, so if you're just wanting to like bypass Sad Town, like you can just skip a few minutes over, cause this is just tragic and horrific, and it's not something I'm gonna put light little fun jokes around. It all goes back to an interview with Vulture that Wes Craven talks about and his inspiration for Nightmare on Elm Street. He is both the writer and the director of the movie. He read an article in the LA Times about a family that had survived the Cambodian killing fields and escaped to America. The killing fields of Cambodia was a horrific genocidal massacre that occurred from 1975 to 1979. So more than 1 million people were killed and buried by the Khmer Party, the Communist Party of Kampuchea, during this time after the end of the Cambodian Civil War, which ended in 1975. The judicial process during these very dark times in Cambodia were for minor or political crimes. And it began with a warning from the Angkar, the government of Cambodia under the regime. People receiving more than 2 warnings were sent for re-education. People were often encouraged to confess to the Angkar their pre-revolutionary lifestyles and crimes, which usually just included some kind of free market activity or having contact with some sort of foreign source, such as like a US missionary, or contact with any foreigner or with the outside world, like literally at all, is considered a crime. And they were all told that if they confessed these pre-revolutionary crimes of theirs, the Angkar would forgive them and wipe the slate clean. Did I just say wipe the slate clean? Wow, it really is 3 a.m. Wipe the slate clean. I am never doing these in the middle of the night now. Even though it's on brand for the movie A Nightmare on Elm Street for me to be doing this in the middle of the night, keeping myself desperately awake just because I like my makeup. It looks cute. It looks cute. They were taken away to a security prison or a killing field for torture and or execution, buried in mass graves in the field that they were killed in. There is evidence of bayonets, knives, wooden clubs, hoes for farming, and curved scythes being used to kill these victims. In some cases, the children and infants of adult victims were killed by having their heads bashed against the trunks of trees, and then they were thrown into the pits alongside their parents. The rationale to killing the infants and children was to stop them growing up and taking revenge for their parents' death. Some victims were even required to dig their own graves. The best known monument of the killing fields is at the village of Kyoyong-ek. I am so sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. To this day, dozens of mass graves are visible above ground, many which have not been excavated yet. Commonly, bones and clothing surface after heavy rainfalls due to the large number of bodies still buried in shallow mass graves. It is not uncommon to run across the bones or teeth of a victim scattered on the surface as one tours the memorial park that now stands there. So what the fuck does this have to do with A Nightmare on Elm Street? Where is the connection? Well, let me tell you. So this is what this family escaped from and came over to America in refuge. And once they got to the US, they had a very young son who started having horrific nightmares. He told his parents that he was afraid that if he slept, the monster chasing him in the dream would get him. So he tried to stay awake for days at a time. When he finally fell asleep, his parents were like, "Thank God the crisis is over. We managed to get our kid to fall asleep. He was just losing his mind from the stress and the trauma he went through." But then that night they heard screams, and by the time they got to him, he was dead. He died in his nightmare. To quote Wes Craven, "Here was a youngster having a vision of a horror that everyone older was denying. That became the central line of A Nightmare on Elm Street." I am really glad Wes Craven didn't advertise the movie as based on a true story, because that is just not enough to make that claim, in my humble opinion. However, apparently it is enough for hundreds of listicles online to claim this movie is based on a true story. If anything, this movie's concept and overall theme is based on a true story. But going from the history of a Cambodian killing field survivor to a suburban white girl whose biggest problem in life so far has probably been trying to balance schoolwork with her social life is just too big of a jump for me. I can't in good conscience be like, yeah, this is based on a true story, when you hear the true story and are way more horrified than you ever could have been by Freddy Krueger. But thanks for watching, guys. If you have another scary movie that you know is based on a true story and would like me to review it, please be sure to comment and let me know. I love taking people's suggestions. I just want to have fun experiencing movies, talking to you guys, doing cute makeup and filming it. Thank you for joining. Bye!